Good day, learners. Welcome back to class. Welcome on board. Welcome to Biology with Homeothermic. We'll be picking it up from where we stopped last class. Last class, we started looking at the various classes of organisms we have under the subphylum Vertebrata, especially the jawed organisms. Okay, the jawed organisms. Under that Gnatostomata, that's jawed organisms, we have 5 classes. Yes, the first one, Physis, that is with fin, and then we have the Amphibia, Reptilia, Aves, and Mammalia. Last class, we did justice to the class Physis as well as the class Amphibia. Last class, we came across a couple of terminologies as well, such as Oviparous, which means organisms that give birth by laying eggs. Oviparous. I told you that in the course of further study, we'll be coming up with other terms that talks about organisms that do not give birth by laying egg. We'll be seeing that in today's study. A quick one as well. Last class as well, we came across a term, poikilothermic, and it was explained that even though generally it is commonly said that they are cold-blooded organisms, that expression does not fully do justice. In actual sense, poikilothermic simply means organisms that have body temperature fluctuating with environmental temperature. That is to say, the body temperature is never stable, it fluctuates as environmental temperature changes. Okay, that is that with poikilothermic. And under the 2 classes we examined last week, we said, like for the Physis, they have streamlined body that aids easy movements. They have lateral line for sensitivity. Okay, they are said to be poikilothermic. Okay, they have fins for movement, and then equally have a system that is adapted for life in water. For amphibia, we said a system that is adapted for life in water and land. Now, today, we'll be taking it from where we stop. You can equally come along. You know, the next will be what? Class Reptilia. Since we've taken Physis and then we've taken Amphibia, the next, as we progress in order of complexity downward, will be what? Reptilia. And so after Reptilia, today as well, we will look at the Aves and we'll round up with the Mammalia. So at the end of today's class, you should be able to highlight characteristics that are associated with the class Reptilia, Aves, and Mammalia. You should be able to as well list a couple of examples, and then you should be able to identify a couple of differentiating factors that are peculiar to each of the classes. So now, starting with the class Reptilia, take note, this is the first class under our vertebrata that is well adapted to life on land. Yes, that is fully well adapted to life on land. They have a skin with scale. Yes. These help to limit water loss. Remember, the challenge with organism on land is always how to minimize water loss, how to maximize internal water to ensure that there is always enough water for metabolism, that is building up and breaking down processes, that is anabolism and catabolism. This is always the challenge with organisms on land. So this very class have been able to come up with a skin with scale that limits water loss, such that there will be sufficient water for metabolism. Equally, they are the first animal to come up with a copulatory organ. So this is the class where we have organisms coming up with a copulatory organ for the first time. This is to ensure that they practice what is referred to as what? Internal fertilization. The copulatory organ will ensure that they are able to practice what is referred to as internal fertilization. Okay, still under this, we have organisms that are poikilothermic as well in nature. Yes, they are poikilothermic. Now, I know you know the meaning of this from our previous classes. We've said this again and again. And then, gaseous exchange is with the help of the lungs. Okay, the lungs is used for gaseous exchange. They are oviparous as well, even though internal fertilization is practiced. However, the egg is laid, oviparous. So the laid egg here is a fertilized egg, okay, oviparous. They have what is referred to as homodentition. Homodentition. That is, they have set of teeth that enables feeding. Yes, however, the set of teeth here is not differentiated. They are same all through homodentition, having set of teeth that are the same in shape and function. Homodentition. This is the first time we are coming across this very word, homodentition. Although something like it, a primitive form of it, can also be seen with earlier classes discussed. Okay, take note of that. Okay, why under our reptilia, some can be aquatic and some others are terrestrial in nature. Okay, so like a few that are aquatic, we have example of like the crocodile and the turtle. These are aquatic, while for terrestrial, we have the wall gecko, we have the lizard, we have snakes, among several others. So with this, we'll pause here and move on to the next class, which is the class Aves. Come along. Okay, now for this very class, the class Aves, we'll quickly look at the uniqueness associated with the class. The class includes all types of birds. So permit me to just put all types of birds. So all types of birds. This class involves all types of birds. And organisms here are well adapted to life in air. Yes, life in air. This is made possible because organisms here have 4 limbs modified into wings. Okay, so here we have organisms with 4 limbs modified into limbs. And that is not all. Also, here we have organisms with what is referred to as homeothermic. Okay, homeothermic. The body temperature here can be said to be homeothermic as against poikilothermic that we came across earlier. Remember earlier, we talked about organisms that can be referred to as being poikilothermic because their body temperature fluctuates with the environment. However, here, that is not the case. Here, these organisms that are found under class Aves are referred to as being homeothermic. Okay, homeothermic. You have to be very careful in writing the spelling, homeothermic. And locally or casually, it is always said to mean warm-blooded. Okay, so they are homeothermic. That is, they have body temperature that is kept fairly constant. Body temperature here does not fluctuate with the environment. That is homeothermic. Next, we quickly look at other characters. Here, the entire body is covered with feathers. Yes, the entire body is covered with feathers except the legs. The entire body is covered with feathers except the leg. The leg region is covered with scale. And then they have what? Hollow bones. This is to say that the bones here have air spaces. This is to ensure lightness and to promote buoyancy so that it will be easier for the organism to easily make a flight. Okay, internal fertilization is used as well. internal fertilization is used. Then here as well, the lung is used for respiration. Okay, and then they are toothless. They are toothless as the mouth region is being modified into beak. And later we'll be looking at adaptation as a topic under biology. We will see different modification associated with the beak. We have beaks serving different purposes, either for probing, either for pecking, either for tearing, and so on, as the case may be. This will be at a later time when we'll be looking at adaptation of organisms in biology. Thank you. We'll quickly move to the last class for today, and that is class Mammalia. Now, for class Mammalia, we have organisms here that are referred to as the most advanced in the animal kingdom. So you have the most advanced organism in the animal kingdom found under class Mammalia. Here, body cavity is divided into two by the diaphragm sheet. Diaphragm sheet is a muscular sheet, okay? Okay, the diaphragm, okay, divides the body. The diaphragm divides the body into two cavities. Okay, other character associated with this very class Mammalia is that they are homeothermic. Earlier, this have been explained. Homeothermic. That is to say, they have well-regulated internal body temperature that does not fluctuate with the environment. Body is always covered with air or fur. The skin covered with air or fur. Okay, skin is covered with air or fur. As against homodentition, under class Mammalia, what we have is heterodentition. Okay, unlike homodentition, where you have the same shape of teeth serving same function, for heterodentition, we have set of teeth, okay, that are different and they serve different functions. And that's why you discover that for higher organism, we talk about set of teeth made up of you have the incisor for cutting, the canine for tearing, the premolar and molar for grinding. Then we talk about variation in number of cusp, in shape, the chisel-like, the broad flat, and so on and so forth. That brings us to heterodentition. The teeth are differentiated and they serve different purposes. Lungs is used for gaseous exchange. And here, organisms here have a well-formed, well-developed brain. Okay, well-developed brain. They equally have the external ear, the pinnae. This is a unique characteristics of mammals. Okay, external ear, the pinnae. And as against Oviparous, here organisms are said to be Viviparous. Okay, the organisms here are said to be Viviparous. That is to say, they give birth to their young ones alive. No laying of egg. Internal fertilization, development and differentiation takes place internally, and the young one is being given birth to alive as a fully developed organism. Okay, they are fully developed chambered heart as well. Okay, they have a fully developed four-chambered heart, as against previous classes where the heart is not fully developed and it is not four-chambered. Like in the case of physis, we have just a two-section, just a two-chamber that is even not well differentiated. And then in the case of our amphibia, we have similarly looking like three-chambered, but also not well differentiated and separated. So there is mixture of both oxygenated and deoxygenated blood. However, getting here to mammalia, you have a 4-chambered heart that is well differentiated and divided, and there is no mixing of oxygenated and deoxygenated blood. Details with regards to this will be looked at when we start considering biological system, and the circulatory system will be treated as a topic. Also here, mammary gland, which produces milk for feeding young one, is a unique distinguishing character for class Mammalia. The mammary gland is present, and this produces milk with which the young one given birth to alive is being nurtured until the young can be weaned. Weaning simply means the process of getting the young one to gradually leave feeding on milk to taking more complex form of milk. Learners, thank you for coming this far. Thank you for tarrying this long as we have been learning together. We will be pausing here for today. Endeavor to revisit the video and ensure you continue learning before our next class session. Endeavor to like the video, endeavor to share the video, subscribe, and encourage others to subscribe as well. Subscription is for free. See you next class. Keep learning. Take care. From the intricate working of the cells to classification of living things, from the mechanism